Vroom!
Zoom!
Welcome to talking about Bakugo Katsuki.
No, Maddie, this is an F1 podcast. Hello, we are 17 to 1. My name's Julia, and I know a lot about F1.
My name's Maddie, and I know about 5% of F1. Today, with the topic we are talking about, it is 1%.
And the topic for today is, of course, pre-season testing. Pre-season testing got underway this week in Bahrain, and it was an interesting one. Not gonna lie to you. Oh, Maddie, can you explain to me in your words what you think pre-season testing is?
Well, the little knowledge that I learned in watching your accurately inaccurate little list postings, it is racing and times and maybe checking out the cars. Oh, I lied. I said I saw no videos. I did see the video of what's his name? Lando getting spray painted in green.
That was
Because
funny.
science.
Because science. Witchcraft, some might say. Some call it science.
Some call it rocket science.
Some do call it rocket science. So
I call it what the heck is going on?
What the heck is going on in Bahrain? Honestly, that could be the title of this episode, because what the heck did happen in Bahrain this week? That is the big question. So, to explain,
Enlighten me.
we're going to have a conversation about some cars and some controversies from the last couple of days. Which one do you want to start with?
Controversies, give me the tea. I love it. If it's
all right,
lukewarm,
so to lay it down,
I want it. I need piping hot, burn my tongue, blistering. Let's go.
This sounds like a tall order, but luckily for you, I was never a barista, so.
Wait, is this your way of telling me it is not blistering hot, scalding, burn my tongue, I might have to go to the hospital?
It's not as hot as the McDonald's lawsuit, but I think it's interesting.
Then I don't want it. I want to go to the hospital. I want to sue.
All right. Well, I guess we're going to have to end the podcast right here then.
Unfortunately. Let's go. Give me that hot McDonald's lawsuit tea.
All right. So first of all, on day one, they had to red flag the morning sessions. They had to end it early because the entire circuit lost power.
That's funny.
So it was like nighttime, right? It's dark on the track. And, F1 cars don't have headlights. So without lights, they are literally flying blind.
Could you imagine if they had headlights just like perched on like the like what was that? I felt like it was in a movie. It's like those cars where the headlights go in and then they go up and they like blip, 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 blip. Imagine if F1 cars that
That'd be so cute. I would 100% be up for this. And then we could have night races without any lights on. It would just be them with their little.
Okay, but the lights on with the night races give great pictures.
They do indeed. We love a night race.
We do.
So that was controversy number 1, I believe. Controversy number 2. These were all just track problems, to be honest with you, but I think they were really funny that we had multiple of them. Number 2, we had on the third day, they had to red flag the session a couple of times. The first time because a pane of glass broke from, the overhanging paddock section. And
that doesn't sound safe.
It was not safe. That's why they red flagged the session. It shattered on the track, and then they had to clean it up. So that was the first time they had to red flag the session. The second time was because a bus drove out on the track.
Where did the bus come from?
Great question. I believe it was carrying photographers. As to why, I don't know.
You ever think that, like, when things like this happen numerous times in, like, constant concession, you're just kind of like, maybe this is a sign. Maybe the F1 gods are just like, no, not today.
Yeah, I'm just thinking this is an omen. I'm also hoping it's an omen of the FIA's downfall.
Okay, but if you get rid of the FIA, who's going to police the drivers.
I don't I
Isn't
don't think
the
they should get
FIA around for a reason? No, I'm
it
not saying
is.
I side with the FIA. I'm just. No one come for
I
me. I don't side with the FIA.
I don't want them to get rid of it all altogether. I want changes to be made. And if, we have to break down some things to then build them back up again better, I'm okay with that. Because,
I feel like
this is exactly like Alex's fucking side mirror getting left on the track for like
I was
however
about to
long.
say I feel like the one thing that needs to be said to the FIA, like that I've heard over my years is, and I've said to my children, in Korea, I taught English in Korea. I don't have kids. Um, if you know better, do better. But the unfortunate thing is, not that it's a pass, I don't think the FIA knows better. I
But they
don't think
should.
the
This will
FIA knows
happen
better in the
multiple
sense
times.
of for the drivers. But that's what I'm saying. I think the FIA knows better for themselves, not for the drivers. So that is like, if you know better, do better. They're like, we're doing better because like it's for us. If you know better by the drivers, do better. You know what?
Fact.
No, I'm just gonna say, FIA. Hey, listen up. If you know better, do better. Please, my 6-year-olds knew better. Did they do better? Not always. They were 6. What's your excuse? You're like a 50-year-old man.
Yeah.
And I think that's
Arguably worse.
generous on the age.
Probably.
I'm gonna leave it at that. If you know better, do better. Come on. Like, what's Walmart's phrase?
Speaking
Can I even say that? Would that get us copyrighted? Like, Walmart, live better, be better? No. Hold on. Walmart's slogan. Oh, it's save money, live better. I mean, I feel like with the lack of money, some of them are like save money, live better, and it's like your car is falling apart on the racetrack. I don't know how much live better you can be doing, but okay.
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 Speaking of the it hasn't come up quite yet, but there were a few instances of the Formula One drivers swearing to the Sky Sports reporters throughout the testing period. We had George Russell swearing, which is honestly
Mr.
ironic
Goody Goody Two
considering how,
Shoes, Mr.
yeah,
Little Follow
and
Along.
so ironic considering he was like, Max is a terrible influence on children. Toto's children swear because of Max. So, George, this
Okay.
proves that it happens to us. And then, George's little son, Kimmy, who has been stolen by Max, he is now Max's little son, Kimmy, also swore, I believe. And then Max was pictured flipping somebody off while in the car.
They
Honestly,
probably deserved
iconic.
it. Probably deserved it. Honestly, when you were like George's little son, I was like, George has a kid? Because even you were like Kimmy, kimchi. Even you were like Kimmy. I was like, who the f is Kimmy?
Gimme,
it took
gimme,
me. A,
kimchi.
it took me a sec. Kimmy, kimchi.
So time will tell if that ends up being. My assumption is that because this was a Sky Sports broadcast and not an official F1 broadcast, they
Hmm.
might not penalize these things because there has not yet been any movement on that front. But the jokes about it have been quite hilarious.
Is it penalized or penalized?
Penis. I don't know.
I was about to say I don't like penalized because it makes me think of penis.
Penalized. I have always said penalized. I learned English from a Dutch
Yeah.
woman, though, so you potentially didn't take my word for it.
I know. Your Dutch woman mother did her best.
She did indeed, and her English is fantastic.
It
But
is. She's a
sometimes
queen.
it's get a
We
little
love her.
mangled.
It's okay. She's trying her best.
She
I
is
mean, it's
indeed.
fair. I learned English from an actual white woman, and I still get
My
words wrong.
mother's
So I
also a
mean,
white woman.
but she's
Just for
Dutch.
clarity.
For clarity, we love our mothers.
Yes, indeed. Right. I think those were the key controversies from the weekend. I might be missing something, but I don't
Okay.
think I am, unless your rain to be a controversy, but
It
not
was
really.
not lawsuit. It was not
That's
lawsuit hot, but I will still accept it. You've done your due diligence. You have done your due diligence.
thank you.
You're welcome.
So, the second part of this conversation is the cars. I don't know if that's going to be more or less interesting to you, but
It is because I want to know what's up with the cars.
equally.
I did see like videos of house falling apart.
Yes. So to run through our teams and how well they did, let's start with Haas. Haas did okay. And to remember when we talk about preseason testing, each of the cars is testing different setups, different fuel loads, different tires, etc. So the actual times that they do around the track aren't really indicative of how fast the car can go. And then teams
Mm.
also might potentially run slower so that people don't think that they're as fast as they are. It's a whole mind game
A
thing.
mind game. They're like they're playing the Michael Phelps game. I mean, it's an athlete game. It's not just a Michael Phelps game. They're getting inside the competition's head.
Exactly. So that being said, Haas, I don't think that they had a super great weekend. As you said, part of Ollie's car came off. I believe it was a part of the engine cover. So Ollie was not super happy about that, but in his post race conference, he was like positive about it. He was like, well, that was a problem. And now we fixed it. So it shouldn't happen again.
I didn't know it was our little bear cub. I thought it was
Yeah, it was
Ocon.
our
Ocon's
little
on
cub.
Haas, right?
Yes.
I pulled that memory from my butt.
I'm so proud of you. I'm less proud that Ocon lives in your butt, though. Please don't say that again. You good?
I don't know.
All right, get it together, Maddie. Your 5 seconds of being dramatic are over. Refocus.
Don't let your friends tell you anything of what should or shouldn't happen. If you want a memory to live in your butt, children, let it live in your butt.
Life lesson of the day.
Life lesson of the day. Life lesson of F1 racing.
I don't want that to be the life lesson of
Anyway.
anyway. So obviously Haas had some problems getting, they had to fix the car. So then they weren't able to run as much. They didn't get as much data as they would have liked. Yada, yada, yada. Another team that had a bit of a rough go of it was Aston Martin. Their first 2 days, I don't think were bad. But then on the last day, Lance Stroll was sick. He was supposed to be running the car. So he did get in it for a couple of laps or so, but then he had to step out again. They didn't really say what was wrong with him, just that he had a really, really rough night. He didn't get like any sleep and he was still feeling like pretty rough.
Party, party,
Um,
yeah.
I think it was probably food poisoning and they just didn't want to say that, to be honest with you.
You talking about Lance Stroll getting sick, my mind instantly went to, wow, imagine being a race car driver and having motion sickness.
That would suck. Although, as somebody with very insane and very intense motion sickness, I never get motion sick when I'm the one driving.
I don't. That's fair. I don't think you count.
What the fuck? Why?
Because you're just a singular person. We don't know about other people.
This is true. I'm just saying, like, as a person who experiences motion sickness, this is my experience. Don't silence
I
me.
know, and I think that's one of the reasons why you didn't let me drive at all on our road trip.
That and I'm a control freak, Maddie. I have issues, okay? Anyway, back to Lance Stroll. He had a rough night, as we all do sometimes. He did get in the car, but then he had to bow out again, so they had to shove Fernando Alonso in there. Now, they use the same car for both drivers during testing, and they just swap out the seats.
Um,
So, it obviously takes some time, so they did lose a lot of time during the testing session to changing out the seats and changing the setups, etcetera, in order to get Fernando back in the car. So, I don't think they were super pleased about that either. Fernando said he was also not feeling, like, 100%. He was well enough to drive, but not, like he wasn't in top form. So, I'm sure they were missing out on a lot of data that they would have liked to otherwise get.
wow, the title we were going for of "What the heck happened to Bahrain" really is starting to fit here.
What the heck happened in Bahrain?
Bah, bah, black sheep. That's unfortunate for them. Like,
Yeah. Like, they just sucked, and they only get these 3 days of testing. I mean, Australia's in 2 weeks. You just gotta do what you do.
dude, we should go to Australia.
I know. Also, in the topic of what the heck happened in Bahrain, we had Williams absolutely killing it. So, that was a huge perk of the weekend. I think
I
they probably walked away, like, the happiest team at the end of it all.
I told you Williams has Carlos. I stand by
Yeah.
that statement.
And they are absolutely thriving, and I adore it for them. So, Carlos actually set the fastest time of the entire weekend across along the track, and his time was comparable to the times that Max and Charles set there for qualifying last year, which was the first and second starting positions. So
That's my besties,
fast,
man.
fast, quite fast, fast. And then Alex set, I believe, the fourth fastest time on the
Good for him.
day, or I'm sorry, on the third day. So that would have been Friday. I don't remember if it was third or fourth, to be honest with you. I might have to fact check myself on that, but it was third or fourth. He went third or fourth fastest. So the Williams are cooking something in that little garage of theirs. The commentators did say that it
Max?
seems like the
Sorry.
most like promise, like they had the most like wow moments, but they also had a lot of moments of instability, which is not
Oh,
great. But
yeah.
sometimes all you need are those wow moments to get you where you need to be. So we'll be watching Williams closely this year. For Racing Bulls, that's like, little Yuki, little Isaac. I don't actually have a lot to say for them. They just kind of did their thing.
No donuts.
Maybe has more information on that, but in my opinion, they just kind of came, vibed, left. And I think I read an article where somebody agreed. They were like, Racing Bulls seems the most consistent. They're not really doing anything crazy. They're just staying the course.
Well, yeah, I mean, they took away Yuki's cursing, so Yuki's.
And that does power his car.
It does. It does indeed. Through the power of sheer spite and cursing.
I would love to see him, like, I'm sure Max has made jokes about this as well, but, like, Yuki should just start cursing up a storm in Japanese. Like, who's gonna know?
He should.
You're gonna bother translating all of his words? And they can't make a rule that the drivers can only speak in English on the radio. That would be horrible. That would be
That'd be
such
racist.
yuck.
I would love to
So,
see that. I'd love to see that. Joe Guan Yu out
same.
here teaching Lewis and Charles how to curse in Chinese.
That would actually be so funny.
I would love that.
They could
Max
also do it
waddling up to
Italian.
Yuki and be like, teach me some of those words. Actually, I feel like Max would just be like, I'll learn the words, but also F this.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna put
Max
my
is already joking, like, "I'll just swear in Dutch."
I forgot he's I forget. They're just men. Sometimes I forget about their
So
ethnicities.
true.
I I look at them and I'm
Just
just like, men. My favorite soundbite right now is like, he is not the love of your life. He's literally just a guy. Hit him with your car.
I adore that soundbite. Somebody remixed it with the, Tokyo Drift song, and I adore it.
Gorgeous.
It's a bop.
Is a bop.
Speaking of men, they're just men. We have Alpine, who again, I don't actually they did middle.
Middle.
And there wasn't anything large coming out of that, except for everybody watching Jack doing like a hawk. I feel
Why?
bad for the kid. So the big rumor is that Jack's only contracted for like a certain number of races. I don't believe that rumor, to be honest with you,
Mm.
but I do believe that he has a clause in his contract, like a performance clause that says he has to be within like a certain range of Pierre, otherwise they can replace him. And since they brought on Franco Colapinto as a reserve driver, and not just like a reserve driver, a multi-year signed reserve driver that came with like contracts and sponsors, people are like, they want to replace Jack with Franco as soon as possible. So Franco's really got to be on his A game. And it's sad as well because even if he has the best year,
Wait,
they're
did
probably still
do you
replace him
mean Duhan or Franco? You said Franco has to be on his A game.
oh, sorry.
Oh, you're good. I just want
Jack
to double check. Because we saw like Franco was when he took over in don't tell me, 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 don't tell me. Williams. He was on his A game and he was doing well, but we saw how quickly that started deteriorating and then he got the boot.
He didn't get the boot. He just wasn't he was only ever contracted for that half a year to replace Logan.
Still got the boot because he didn't
He
get
did he did
signed.
end at the end of it. And like you said, like his performance kind of dropped off at the end of the year. Like I don't think that was entirely his fault because Alex also
I
had
think
a
some of it
lot of
might have been the pressure. Like it's a lot of pressure, and so it's just like if because I understand like that much pressure can be debilitating or liberating in the sense of you're kind of like, oh, you're watching me, like I'll give you a show. It really depends. And so I just think if people are watching Jack as closely as kind of the rumors are swirling, like this kid has got to get a tough shell. Like it'll be interesting to see how he fights back or if he will succumb to the pressure, which if he does, like obviously wrong with his contract, like that's shame. Nothing wrong because he's like what 20, 19, 20. Like he's a fetus.
yeah, yeah. I feel bad for him. I love Jack, so I need him to do well. We look at our top teams in testing. Top teams in testing. Say that 3 times fast for me, please.
Top teams in testing, top teams in testing, top teams in testing.
Excellent. Our top teams in testing were obviously like, pretty typically it ended up being the same 4 teams as last year.
Is there a reason why you had me
Yes.
do that?
For my own pleasure and amusement.
You're so dumb.
And amused. So, of the top teams, we had McLaren, Ferrari, Mercedes, and Red Bull. And as I told my mother yesterday when she came home, she was like, "Did you watch the preseason testing?" And I was like, "Yes, mom." And to be honest with you, it's a good thing you weren't watching it because you would have hated it.
I
And
love
she was like, "Why?" I was like, "Well, the commentators spent the entire time gassing up McLaren and fearing for Max. So you would not have enjoyed it." And she was
Aren't the
like,
sports
"Yeah,
commentators supposed
probably
to be impartial?
you would think." Actually, I disagree with that statement. I had this thought while I was listening to the preseason testing because the commentators are not reporters. So theoretically, they don't have like a moral need to stay unbiased. They're allowed
Fair.
to have their opinions. I don't always agree with their opinions. I do wish that they would give us more unbiased opinions sometimes because people rely on the commentary for information. But at the end of the day, I suppose it is not their job to give us unbiased information.
The only information that I agree with on the sports commentators are ones that talk about Joe Guan Yu, ones that are unbiased, and the ones that called Kimmy Kimchi. So
Yes. So only one of those exists because nobody ever talks about Joe Guan Yu and nobody's ever unbiased.
okay, but also maybe I don't support the Kimmy Kimchi because, like, excuse me, like, sports commentator, were you picking my brain? I called it
Right?
way before you did.
That should be copyrighted.
Right? Kimmy Kimmy Kimchi.
Anyway, so the commentators spent the entire time gassing up McLaren, which honestly they probably had right to because McLaren. I mean, for some background information, if you don't know, Maddie doesn't know. Every once in a while, they come out with new regulations for the cars in Formula One. Currently, we are in the last year of the current regulations. Next year, there will be new regulations.
Sounds
That means that at this
insane.
point, the teams have had a couple of years to figure everything out. They're not going to be doing anything crazy with their engineering. They're just, they're going to focus on development for next year and they're going to focus on making sure they have a good enough year this year. So, with that being said, it's not that shocking that, in my opinion at least, the cars are going to be similar to what they were last year. And last year, the McLaren proved to be very, very good in the second half of the year. So we can kind of expect that to continue. So, on the same thread, it's not all that surprising that the Ferrari is going to look good as well. Although they did mention that it had a little bit more moments of instability throughout the day than the McLaren. I don't
Interesting.
think it would be out of pocket to assume those two are still going to be at the same place they were last year. Mercedes did a little bit not worse, but they were seemingly working on other things. The Red Bull as well. Max seemed to be once again wrangling the car in a way that we don't want him to be wrangling. He's not a wrangler, but honestly, that might not be true at this point. Max is a professional wrangler.
Yeehaw! Yeehaw, cowboy.
So, that being said, however, Max did have the fastest time on the third day of testing up until the very end when it was taken by George Russell. So, definitely their cars are not something to be called out. And, last year the McLaren was very good and Max still won races and was able to compete with them, even if not like in the Constructors' Championship. So,
Yeah.
also, last year during testing, McLaren did absolute dog shit because they had a dog shit car for the first half of the year, and then they went on to win the championship. So
That was their ploy all along to win the construction championships.
nothing matters. Nothing matters is the moral of the
They're
story.
so yeah, nothing matters because the championships are just so point heavy in the races. Like we saw with that the one race with the double Alpine win, they went from basically being dead last to like what, fourth, third, fourth?
Fifth?
Like but they shot up out of 10 teams. They
Yep.
shot up because so many other teams didn't have points, and then that double win just got them the points that they need because it's so point heavy.
Yeah. And the Alpine started last year in dead last because their car was overweight when they brought it to testing, and it was also absolute dog shit. So, improvements happen over the year.
Still can't get over that they take these cars apart. It's just wild.
That's crazy, dude. Crazy.
Crazy, crazy, crazy,
So
crazy.
that was our preseason testing recap. I believe those are all the important points, but feel free to tell me if there's something absolutely critical that I
And
missed.
she's talking to
We're gonna
you,
move on.
audience. You feel free to comment
Yes,
about it. It's not me. I
Maddie's not
I'm
gonna know.
not gonna.
Subject to things that Maddie's not gonna know. In the next section, I will be testing her on who did best in the preseason testing. I gave away some of these answers as we chatted, so there are some that you should know.
But will I is
But
the question.
most of these are going to be complete guesses. So for our next segment, Maddie's going to guess with varying amounts of accuracy the order that the drivers were in by the end of testing. This is the collated speeds. So from all 3 days, who was the fastest to the slowest? And again, times mean nothing in preseason testing, but I like quizzing Magdy. So
This doesn't count though as the quiz.
no, it will not count towards one of your anime figurine quizzes. All right.
Well, now I'm like, I want to say Max Verstappen is number one, but I also can't remember if you just said, oh, he got like, he did. No, you said on the third day, Russell replaced him. But then you also said Williams did really well. Both Alex and Carlos did really well. We're going to go backwards. I definitely think House is
Haas. Maddie Haas.
has. We'll get there one day. That's not
Yeah.
today. I definitely think Haas. What did you pull out of your drawer?
Nothing. I looked up my phone so I could look at the
Oh, it sounded like you were pulling something. I was
yeah.
like, I'm being threatened. With my fit. How's
Haas.
I was even fighting that one, you could tell. Haas is probably on the bottom one. Haas and Astro are probably on the bottom rung. For sure. Just because their testing didn't go well. Okay.
I'll say this goes by driver, Maddie, not by team.
I
So
know. So I think it's gonna be Lance
okay.
is gonna be like 20, spot 20, because he really didn't get a chance to race because he was not feeling well. Then I think it's gonna go Alonso, and then we got Bear Cub, and then we got. I'm going from the bottom up, by the way.
Yeah. I'm writing these down so that I can tell you how many you got right at the end.
I don't know about Ocon, so I'm gonna skip him for a second. Okay, Red Bull. Let's look.
Wait, you're still at number 17, just to let you know.
And now I'm gonna reverse it and go from the top down.
You are the worst.
Okay, in retrospect, I'm filling in the spots with the little information that I have.
Okay.
I love
So
that. You are the worst. Huh? I'm gonna go Max Verstappen, number one.
number 2.
I'm folding like a house of cards. I am just exactly like Jack Duhon. It's too much pressure.
Wait, Jack hasn't folded yet. Okay. I have faith.
I'm folding like Franco Carlopinto and Logan Sargent.
Rip.
I was gonna say Danny Ricciardo, but I can't do that to him.
No.
Wait, no. Because I feel like I saw something about Carlos and Lewis today doing really well. So I'm going to switch it. Max is not one. I want to say Lewis is one, Carlos is two, Max is three, Charles is four, Alex is five, Liam. I'm going to put Liam at like a solid 8. I don't know. It just kind of fits the vibes.
Okay.
Yuki, I'm gonna go with probably like 10. Yuki's 10. Frick. What about George? What numbers are still available?
17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 9, 7-6.
George is 6. Who am I missing? I know I'm definitely missing Pierre and Ocon. I'm missing Bear Cub. No, I think I put Bear Cub down.
You have not yet.
Just kidding.
Oh, no. Yes, you
Okay.
did.
I'm
Sorry.
missing Isaac. I know I'm missing Isaac. I'm missing Duhan.
Yeah, Kimmy. You're missing the McLaren boys.
Oh my fudge! How could I forget about the McLaren boys? Oh my god. Ah! McLaren boys are going to be that low either.
Yeah. Remember that they're each testing different things. So, like, there might be somebody who didn't set as fast of a time as you expected, but that's because they weren't, like, necessarily trying to set fast times.
Okay. The McLaren boys are going to go in whatever numbers are available above the top 10.
Okay, so 7 and 9.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, which one do you want at 7?
Lando is 7, Oscar is 9.
Okay.
The temptation, I have to look this up myself.
No cheating.
What numbers
All
do I
right,
have?
11 through 17.
Isaac's gonna go at 15. Behrman's gonna go at 16. No, we already said
No, you
Behrman.
already yeah.
Fernando's gonna go at 17.
You already did Fernando.
Just kidding, I did our war criminal.
You're missing Pierre, Isaac, Jack, Kimi.
Wait, but Isaac's gonna go at 16.
Oh yes, sorry.
No,
Then
Isaac's gonna go at
Pierre,
15. No, 16.
Pierre, Jack, Kimi, Hulkenberg,
Oh my god, I forgot about
uh,
Hulkenberg.
Gabriel, Bortoletto.
Who is Gabriel Bortoletto?
He's Hulkenberg's teammate this year.
Oh my.
I know, too many names.
The 5% has gone down to 0.
Not true. I feel like you learned more.
My brain hurts.
I'm trying to figure out who else you're missing, but start with that. Hulk, Pierre, Jack, Gabriel, Kimi. You're all Ocon.
Hulk is at 17. Because I don't know anything about the dude.
Fair.
What numbers do I have left?
16, 14, 13, 12, 11.
16, 14, 13, 12, 11.
Yes.
Ocon, 16. Pierre, 14. Jack, 13. What do I have? I should have
You
written this
have
down.
Kimi
Kimmy.
and Gabriel.
Mix them up, throw them in, whatever numbers I have left, they go there. Of Gabriel.
Like faster, like 11 versus 12.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll say at first glance, I don't think you got a single one correct.
That's rough.
I will say you are only one number off for a couple of them.
Okay. No, I don't want to fix it.
So if you want, I'm going to read them back to you. And if you want to change any of them, I will let you do so. You have, I'm going to go first to 20th. So you have Carlos, Max, Charles, Alex, George, Lando, Liam, Oscar, Yuki, Kimmy, Gabriel, Jack, Pierre, Isaac, Ocon, Hulk, Ollie, Alonso, then Lance.
Which Max, Lewis, and Charles. So instead of Lewis, or no. Max, Lewis, Carlos. So instead of being at Lewis, Carlos, Max, go Max, Max, Lewis, Carlos.
You do officially have one correct.
It's Max, isn't it?
I cannot confirm nor deny. Is there anybody else like to switch?
And Stroll.
Okay. Fernando. Oh, I mean, no, that's still both wrong. 1 point off. And who else is 1 point off? Oh, you got Isaac right.
I don't even know what number I put him at.
Put him at 15.
Boom. I'm going
I
places.
got messed up. Ocon is 1 place off.
I don't even know where I put some of these people. They're down.
By down, do you mean like
Whatever
a
comes
fast
after whatever comes after the number he's at.
So, for example, if he's at 9, should I move him to 10 or 8?
I understand your thought process because in my story that I tell myself, moving them down from a number goes to the number below. Versus if I'm
Okay.
like, oh, move him up, I think of like bump him up to the number above him.
Yes, but since these are speeds and the faster speeds are the lower numbers.
See, I wasn't even thinking speed, so I'm glad we
Okay,
clarified this.
You want to move him down to 8.
Is Oscar at 7?
He's at 9.
10.
Okay. Ding, ding, ding. You are correct.
Okay, I was like, you
Oscar
can't
was
say ding, ding, ding because I know in Korea, ding means it's wrong.
Actually, I lied to you. You got it wrong. He should have been an 8th.
How can I be?
I'm so sorry.
How can I be
Kidding.
doing this if the judge isn't even accurate? I quit. We're not doing this anymore. You keep
Okay.
lying to me. This is like the 3rd time you've lied to me.
Maddie, I can't read. I don't know what to tell you. Also, it's not the first time I lied to you. I only lied to you once.
So it's the 2nd time.
No, this was the first time.
No, it wasn't because you told me Isaac was wrong and then you looked back at it and you were like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I lied. You got it right."
That never happened.
You cannot cut that out of the video because it happened.
Gaslight, gatekeep,
That's like gatekeeper boss.
All right, final score is.
Oh, are we actually quitting? I'm not allowed to move anymore.
Well, I figure I'll tell you the full list and you can give me your reactions. So, your final answer is 2 out of 20, which honestly, considering you were blindly guessing, not a bad hit ratio.
Okay, but I'm Asian. Anything below a 99 is anything below 100 is awful.
I will say, considering earlier in this podcast, I told you who came in first and you still got it wrong. That's disappointing.
Hey, I originally did have Max at number 1, and then I talked myself out of it.
No, it's still wrong, Maddie. That's not correct.
Okay, never mind. Who did you tell me at the start?
Carlos. Carlos at the fastest time.
I don't remember that, but okay.
No. And then what you did get correct when you switched around the top was you ended up putting Lewis in second. Lewis did come in second. He was behind Carlos, a fact that made my mother very happy.
Like, happy that she outdrove Charles, or happy that Carlos outdrove Lewis?
Happy that Carlos outdrove Lewis.
Horrible. I love her.
Yeah, she's got opinions, and we love them.
We love them.
So first was Carlos, second was Lewis, third was Charles. So came in third. Fourth was George. Fifth was Max. Sixth was Alex. 7th was Kimmy. 8 was Oscar. 9 was Pierre. 10 was Lance. 11 was Liam. 12 was Jack. 13 was Lando. 14 was Yuki. 15 was Isaac. 16 was Fernando. 17 was Esteban Ocon. 18 was Gabriel Bortoletto. 19 was Hulkenberg. And 20 was our little bear cub.
I was yeah, I knew Bear Cub was gonna be last, but I just didn't want to put that pressure on him, so
Yeah, she actually knew all 20 of these. She just didn't want to own us too hard.
yeah, like I'm supposed to be the F1 baby fan. It would have looked really bad if I showed Julia
It,
up because I knew off the top of my head and she had to look it up. Embarrassing.
it honestly, I would have had to end it. The podcast. But thankfully, we all get to live another day. So, round of applause to Maddie. I said thankfully.
It's the fact that you said we all get to live it. I feel a little threatened.
You should, Maddie. We go down together. This ship has 2 captains, and they both go down with it.
If we go down, then we go down together. Bow, 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 bow. But yeah, anyway, if you ever hear someone call me an F1 baby fan, it's only for jokes.
What would you say surprised you the most?
Lando. Seeing his races and kind of constantly always being at least in like I feel from when I don't know about like the beginning half because I think we started talking a little more about F1 racing and seeing the races and like hearing about the races a little more halfway through the season. At least for me, I definitely know Monaco is kind of like what kicked it off. For my interest in talking more about F1 with you. So I don't know where that race is in the season, but I feel like Lando was always kind of in the top 5, maybe close to the top 3, maybe didn't edge in there, but he was always up. He was never down really at the bottom of like I don't ever recall really seeing him below top 5.
Yeah.
And if there were times he was, I might not have seen them, or he did manage to sneak back up there. So I think I was very surprised about Lando.
On your point about Lando is that's why when we talk about these, testing results, it's not always the best indicator to look at the ending time. So when he was
Mm,
running on the second day of testing, his sections were actually the fastest out of anybody's, but he was doing different types of drills where like he wasn't actually completing a full lap. He was going back into the pits and out of the pits, etc. So it was just like on his full run ones that he was running setups that just weren't as quick.
mm.
But ultimately, he does have, if you look at like the telemetry data and everything, he has the fastest pace from the whole weekend.
Ooh, fancy.
Oh, good news for the Lando fans, not so great news for the rest of us, but we persevere. Conclusion, we had preseason testing, which means absolutely nothing unless you wish to be delusional, in which case it means
Everything.
absolutely everything. Never let anybody tell you that Carlos Sainz is not going to win WDC this year because he will. The data told us that. And it means everything.
I will believe you. I will believe you.
Okay, in all seriousness, it's super fun to look at these things from testing, but we do have to temper our anxiety and remember that it means nothing because these cars are going to go through developments. They aren't racing each other, and the track conditions this week were actually very, very strange and not at all indicative of what the rest of the year is going to look like. So
Lots of
hopefully,
omens. Lots of omens, apparently.
lots of omens. As I said, I'm pretty sure somebody cursed Lance Stroll. It's the only thing I can think of. He went through a breakup earlier last year, so
I forgot about
potentially, a woman scorned, hell hath no fury, or whatever the saying is.
that. He was probably the one who was scorned. Boy looked rough.
He looked rough. I feel bad for the kid.
Is
Say
he
kid. I think he's 2 years younger
I was
than
about to
us.
say, isn't he younger than us?
He is indeed. I don't ask me his exact age, I don't remember.
Was never gonna ask you
Year,
that.
2 years. I wanna say maybe he's 99. That feels wrong. That feels wrong. Is he the same age as Lando? Damn it, now I need to look it up.
I got it. I got it. Lance Stroll. He's 98. Yeah, you could call him a kid.
That that feels more accurate. End of our regularly scheduled programming today.
Thank
Very
you for
nice.
joining us.
Thank you for joining us. This has been 17 to 1. Have a good night.
Bye.